This webcast today is about how Dave's Hot Chicken leverages relationships and people for rapid franchise growth. And it always starts with the greatest of people coming together. And today, I'd like to introduce you to our first franchisee of Dave's Hot Chicken. He's been on the founding team, and he started in San Diego with the first Dave's location. I think it was May of 2020. And their group has opened up 10 locations. And he was hired as the director of operations of Dave's and is the COO and also a franchisee of Dave's. Welcome, Deryl Pangelinan.
Thank you, Taj. Thank you, Michelle. Honored to be here and excited to share our growth and where we've come from.
Absolutely. Wonderful to have you, Deryl. And it's also my pleasure to introduce you today, the Chief Development Officer at Dave's Hot Chicken, where our guest oversees the company's development strategies and also a franchise owner and CEO of her own company. So prior to this, she held the position of the President of International and the Chief Development Officer at Blaze Pizza for something like 7 years, also a customer of ours. Welcome, Carolyn Canady.
Hi, thank you so much, Taj. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say, it is kind of like semi-lunchtime here on the East Coast. Folks are out on the West Coast, and I just finished a medium Dave's, and I'm working my way up to a Reaper, just for the record. And I've got my milkshake just in case the heat index goes way over and above.
Good plan.
Absolutely. Well, so let's start with you, Carolyn. It's just tell us where you started, a little bit, the background of what your role is, and we'll just kick it off from there.
Sure. So May of 2020, that was important for Deryl when they opened their first store. Was important for me too. That's when I became a franchisee with Dave's. I had been with Blaze Pizza for 7 years and took a little bit of time off, and Bill Phelps, our CEO, was really after me to get involved with Dave's, and so I became a franchisee. And then I didn't become the CDO until January of 21, when they were looking for someone, and I told them I would help out temporarily. Well, I'm still here, 4 years later. I've got 2 restaurants open, and it's been a really, really great experience to be on both sides, a franchisee and also part of the franchise company.
Well, that's great. All right. So Deryl, your background, and we will start to unpack reputation and the people side.
So I was part of the first franchise group for Dave's Hot Chicken. I came in as the director of operations. We opened our first restaurant in May 2020 in Pacific Beach, San Diego. We were able to take Dave's out of the founders group, out of Hollywood, and introduce it to now the world, as it started in Pacific Beach. And, I came in as the director of operations, grew into my role as the chief operating officer for our franchise group. And I'm also a franchisee for Dave's Hot Chicken. Blessed to be here and can't wait to grow some more.
Wow. So now you've got to share some of those stories about lines around the door or around the store. Like, give us a little bit more of that very, very beginning days, Deryl.
Yes. So, we opened up 2 months after the world shut down because of COVID. And, there was a lot of curiosity, anxiety of what it's going to be like to open in a pandemic. And the people responded. The love for Dave's, they showed itself right out the gate. Our grand opening, the line was not just wrapped around the store, but down the street blocks. And that wasn't with 6 feet social distancing. That was just people excited to be out and excited to try this new brand, this new concept that we introduced to them in San Diego. And it was a 4-hour experience. It was, if you were at the back of the line, it took you 2 hours to get to the register. And then it took you 2 hours to get your food. It was our first franchise location. And so we were still testing it out. We didn't know what type of response we were going to get, but we loved the response that we saw. And it's helped us to where we're at now.
That is wild. So
I want to add on to that for that Pacific Beach opening. I went to that, and I get goosebumps right now thinking about it, because I went and saw the guests all lined up and wanting a Dave's. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to get my store open. I just couldn't wait. I was so excited. And I was asking people in line, I'm like, well, what made you even come? How do you even know about Dave's? So like, social media. I see it all the time on Instagram. We couldn't wait to come try it. So I couldn't wait to get my store open.
Well, I mean, it's definitely that people-centric approach. I mean, that's the theme of this. Obviously, I think you both share a passion in growing amazing teams, building, rapport, trust with your customers. Talk a little bit about that, Deryl. Like what's the secret sauce for you to be growing? Like how many states are you in? Let's start there.
Well, we are in 12 different, well, we're expanding to 12 different states, our group alone,
Wow.
throughout the US. And, in the beginning, for us, right, it was, well, this is a vessel that we get to use to carry out our mission. And our mission is to change people's lives with a purpose. And we truly, people say it, but we truly live it and we believe it. And that's something that's really helped us from the beginning to where we're at now. And that will continue to carry us. Our corporate team, they say the chicken is our superpower. Well, our people is our health. And that's what gets us to grow. It's important for us to take care of our people, who in turn take care of our guests and turn them into fans. So, from the beginning to where we're at now and everything that drives us moving forward, it's really people first. And, we've turned, for like myself, from being the director of operations to a franchisee. We've taken someone who joined us just as a shift manager, worked her way up to a general manager, and is also a partner for us in one of our outer territories. And so we turn people into franchisees, and that helps us. Dave's is our vessel, and we really use it to really change people's lives.
So it wasn't just a light bulb for you guys to just say, hey, let's start doing this. It sounds like you were pre-wired for this, Deryl. Like
something we believe to the core. When I signed with Dave's, and I say this proud, it may sound like crazy, right? Because I signed with Dave's not knowing what Dave's was. I signed with Dave's purely on the conversations that I had with my partners. It's really, it wasn't, people looked at it as a risk, but for me it was comforting because I trusted the partners that I am with now, even before Dave's, we opened our first location. So, and that trust that's instilled from the top, that the trust is our glue to everything we do. Trusting that we have each other's backs, trusting we're always going to be honest with each other, and trusting we're all going to carry our weight. So trust is a big part of who we are, and that's what helps us grow. So yeah, people is what it's about.
Wow. That is so reassuring because, I mean, you are walking the walk and talking the talk. It's more than just posters, right? In your hallways, I'm sure. Very, very inspiring. So Carolyn, do you want to add to that? Because I'm sure you're seeing some amazing history, right? With what you and Bill did and then your role at Blaze. I mean, you're probably carrying a lot of that with you and reinforcing it.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, Deryl's group, their mission, changing people's lives, it's actually the same mission as Dave's Hot Chicken Corporate. Bill Phelps is very much behind helping people aspire to what they think they can't achieve. And we're doing that through Dave's Hot Chicken. And so from a corporate standpoint, that is also our mission. But from my franchise company, we have like a family, it's a family business. My daughter and son-in-law operate the two restaurants, and we look at the people that work for us as part of our family, and we're here to help them grow and be able to achieve things that they've never been able to achieve before. So that idea of changing people's lives and being a family is really throughout Dave's as a company and Dave's franchise partners. We all are very aligned on that goal and that mission. So it's exciting. It's really great.
Well, very nice to hear. I think the investment and the time you spend on that people side, elaborate on what you mean by changing people's lives as franchisees. I mean, you're doing more than just selling the rights to open up a Dave's?
Yeah. Well, I think it's more, we partner only with multi-unit franchisees. So we partner with very experienced operators. It really goes down to the level below that, where, like Deryl said, they have a shift manager that's now participating in ownership. That's the piece. It's aspiring to have entry level people within Dave's Hot Chicken grow to really great positions, where they have the monetary, ability to really buy a house, or go to school and all of those things. So we're really, really focused in on that.
Nice. How do you translate that to meeting with all of your franchisees? I mean, how many locations do you have now, Carolyn, or like currently, and then your growth pipeline?
For Dave's Hot Chicken, we have 218 restaurants open.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get past the 80, like we opened 80 last year. We're hoping to get to 80 plus this year. So we have another 35 to 50 to open this year, but we are on pace to do over 110 next year. And, like I said, it really comes back. Let's talk about relationships and partnerships. We have selected the best of the best in this industry. We only bring in multi-unit operators that are very, very good at what they do. And they have the same mindset of wanting to offer additional opportunities to their current group of people. Let's say they're a large Taco Bell franchisee and they've built out, but they have all these people that work for them that still want to grow. So they bring in another brand to keep growing their people. And those are the only kind of franchisees we partner with.
I like that. And that makes sense, because I think we were talking before we kicked this off the top of the hour about the increased competition. I mean, the availability of space is so challenging. The ability for you to find really strong multi-unit operators and who know that they have a choice, right, to choose you or countless others. But it would seem to me that you have this very modern outlook to combat risk and competition. I mean, do you see your people approach and your technology investments, are those the things that help you differentiate to find those best in class multi-unit operators?
Well, I think we've been very lucky because from day one, Dave's had a very good hype around it, and there was a lot of awareness around Dave's. Yeah. And great multi-unit operators are always looking for a good brand that gives them a good return, and we are that brand. So we don't have to go looking. We just filter people out. we make sure that the people that are interested are a very good fit for our brand, and that we're the right brand for them. It goes both ways. We want to make sure it's a good partnership for both of us. But again, we've been very lucky. Dave's is very sought after. Shannon, our vice president of development, has sold out the country. So now we're focused on international. But yeah, it's a great place to be.
That's exciting. All right, so then Deryl, before we talk about international and the rapid expansion that we can probably spend several hours on, what's your typical day-to-day like as it relates to interfacing with the franchisor, best practices, operations, being empowered, and the like? Share about that.
Yeah, so, being in different markets, different cities, different states, it's important, from a brand's perspective and for our group to be consistent through and through, from the product to full-blown operations. And in every market that we're in, we actually have operating partners who are local to those markets. And tapping into what Carolyn was saying, we have like the best of the best from other concepts and other brands, multi-unit operators who come in and they test what they're seeing and hearing on social media, and they try to see what Dave's is like and what it's all about. And I remember one of my partners sharing his story before, he met with us. He wanted to go to Dave's. He flew out, checked out Dave's in Dallas. And then he was like, man, this is a great experience. I've never, the team members were extremely, the atmosphere with the energy, everything was just, it enlightened him. And so he said, I'm going to go try this in Michigan. And he went and it was the same thing. And it turns people into believers from what they're seeing on social media. And so for us, it makes us feel good, right? Because our vision, our goal of bringing that consistency throughout our entire company and throughout the state and internationally, our team members are living it. They're breathing it. And it's that modern approach to the business, right? You hear people in my career, I've heard people say, run the business like you own it. Well, we're making them own it. They become owners, and so there's a different way they approach their day-to-day. And so really interacting with our partners, our operating partners in the different markets, and then interacting with the franchisors, this team, we had the benefit of seeing Dave's grow at the corporate level, seeing their team grow, from the beginning of dealing with Bill Phelps, our CEO, and Dave Kapushian himself, the founder, working hand in hand to really see how we're going to scale this out, and listening not just to our guests, but Bill and his team do a really good job of listening to the franchisees. And Bill had a monthly call, I was talking to Carolyn about it, where Bill opened the line of communications to the general managers of the restaurant. This is the CEO who makes himself directly accessible to all the general managers in the company. It wasn't owners on that call. That was general managers that the CEO was communicating with, hearing what they're going through, the battles, the challenges that they're going through in the day-to-day life in the restaurants. And then taking that, doing the due diligence, the research and development with this team, and taking that into an approach where we're going to launch it now through the system to make things better. And that communication, that trust between franchisor and franchisee, it's something I've never experienced in my entire career. Our corporate team, they do a great job with having those communication lines open. And that's a big part of our growth.
Wonderful. I've had the pleasure of speaking with CEOs of really large multi-unit operations, as well as other leaders within franchisors. And without question, the unilateral statement is, I want to be like Dave's. Dave's is doing it right. Dave's is one of the best franchisors I've ever had a conversation with, ever had a business relation with. So I think this testament, it speaks, so loudly, because you both use the word modern, right? A modern approach, a modern take. And how do you change lives, creating this sense of trust and ownership of trust? I think that's phenomenal. I don't know, Carolyn, you want to put any icing on that cake?
Well, I would just add that Daryl's group is they're near and dear to me. I love these guys.
Yeah.
You can't help but love them, the way that they operate, and the way that the partnership with us. They're just the best, and they're the best at what they do with all their people and what they do within their organization. And just to let you know, we have a hard, fast rule that we won't let franchisees go and develop where they don't already operate. So what they did so they could expand is they partnered with local operators. And I mean, great local operators that could have qualified on their own without them. But so we've got this great group that's expanding their awesomeness around the country in different states with other really great operators. It is a recipe for success. It is a recipe for success. Yeah.
That is really good to hear. And there's a related question that just came in. Thanks for bringing those questions in, by the way. So would it be safe to say, well, you answer this question, like what's the most important factors when you select a new location from a franchisor's perspective? Why don't you start with that?
Well, I'll start with it. Even from a franchisee perspective, the real estate you choose is the number one most important decision you're going to make. Because if you gaff on that, if you miss on that, you can't out operate it, you can't out market it to make it better. All right. So having said that, that's the other reason we only partner with franchisees that are already operating in a market. They know the market. They understand the real estate. They already have the connections with the developers and the landlords. To go into a market cold, you're going to get bad results. So, but what are the key characteristics you're looking for? First of all, you're going to want to go where other people are being, successful, where there's some other fast casuals. You want to go where there's some daily needs. There's grocery stores people are going to, or they're going to the gyms, or whatever it is. And then demographics is interesting for us at Dave's because it's all over the board, from the size of the population to the income level. It's all over the board. So I can't even say what's most important there, but I do know if you go to the places where our kind of guests are already going, right? There's Chipotle's, there's Cava's, there's Shake Shacks, there's Five Guys. We're going to go in those same areas.
Right. Right. So now that you've expanded into 12 different states, Deryl, anything you want to add to that? I mean, it sounds like you've got local partners that are working. I mean, when did that click for you guys?
Yeah, so Carolyn's absolutely correct. Our operating partners in every market, they know the market, they've been operating in that market, so they understand. And then now it's learning, who our target audience is for Dave's, because maybe for their concept that they're currently with, it's not the same demographic that Dave's has. We're still learning our demographic. I remember where it used to be hard 18 to 30 or 35, and then that number keeps growing into 40. And it's really just understanding, when you go into these markets, you check out the Chipotle's, the Shake Shacks, and you see who are the guests that are going in there. And are these the same guests that we are going to be seeing in Dave's? Those guests are also our labor pool. And so it's important to understand the area and knowing who's coming into that area already, who's living there. And then, the best real estate, not just for today, but 10 years down the road, right? It's a partnership. It's something that you're going to be with, not just for today, but for the future. So real estate's a huge plus for us. And then understanding in the area where people are going, which people are going, and are those our guests that we're seeing in our restaurants currently.
Yeah. So you're really connecting a lot of random dots, because you certainly want to understand, let's say, the competition, but they don't really compete with you. But when you said they're also your labor pool potentially, right? I think that's a fascinating take on it. It's the first time I've really kind of heard that theme, because you definitely have a following, right? Without question, people are passionate. So why not? Is there a sense, Carolyn, maybe you can answer this question that just came in on round numbers of franchisees that you have in, let's say, the lower 48 contiguous US?
Yeah, we have 65 groups.
65. Okay, got it. That might have been somebody up in Alaska when they said the lower 48. So there might be an Alaska development.
Yeah. Alaska is open, but
that is wild. Cool. All right, so let's talk about international, Carolyn. So I know that you've had some really good success, and I mean, have you saturated the US? Is that what you were alluding to, and now you're expanding internationally? Okay, got it. So international markets, what's your priority in terms of countries or continents?
So I'll just tell you where we are now. We're in Canada, and we actually started in Canada back in May of 2020. Also, we were in the middle of the pandemic and opened there. That was interesting. All of the training was done via Zoom. Can you imagine opening a new store via Zoom? Well, we did it. And then we've been in the Middle East for the last 3 years. We're in 3 different countries there and still expanding. And we just signed a deal for the UK and Ireland, hoping to get our first store open in December. So we're really excited about that. But all 3 of those areas happened organically. We weren't looking to go there. We just had a very good partner come to us and say they were interested. And that was the key. It's all about the partnership. Now, moving forward, we really feel like Asia is our next place we'd like to look at. I actually am engaged with a group right now that we're meeting this week here. But we're going to hire an outside consultant to kind of help us really strategize, because we don't have a strategy other than we partner with really great partners. But I think we need to go a little deeper as we look at international. But I think Asia will be next.
Okay, got it. What's your appetite for growth, Deryl, beyond the 12 states, and how many locations?
Well,
They want everything. They want as much as they can get.
That is absolutely right. And you know, that's driven by wanting to change people's lives, literally. Like, the more territories we get, the more opportunities we can present to people. And you know, it's really letting people feel what Dave's is truly about. You know, Dave Kapushian talks about his food on, you know, it's not so much of making people love the food, but the food putting a smile on people's faces when they eat it. And you know, my first day training with Dave's, my first day, within the first hour, Dave walked in, and I was like, man, I saw him on YouTube. And he walked up to me and he goes, "You're the Popeyes guy." And I said, "You know what, man, I'm the Dave's guy. I'm here for Dave's." And he, you know, we're talking about how things are, you know, being done. And I said, "I want to learn you. I want to learn your vision, and I want to be able to expand that and spread that with everything we get." And at the time, we were just thinking of San Diego, right? And now we get to spread that across the US, and it's a blessing. And we love Carolyn and her team for helping us get there, but we plan to get as much as we can, you know, out of it, and be partners with everybody. It's really just spreading them.
That's nice. And I think, you know, at a franchisor level, Carolyn, you recognize that these multi-unit operators don't just all have to be into Dave's All In, right? There are other brands. So you're supporting really a real estate platform that helps those multi-unit operators run their businesses more effectively, I think, right? Because then they can spend more time with Dave's.
Yeah, I think if I'm following you right, I'm not sure if I understood correctly. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah. So basically, you're acknowledging the fact that your franchisees have investments in other brands.
Yes.
And the investment that you've made from a technology perspective is helping them succeed across, but obviously optimizing and protecting their business risk in other areas.
Well, I think that the systems and processes and technology we have at Dave's certainly helps them with their Dave's growth. I don't know that it's really helping them in other businesses. I don't think they cross over.
Yep. Okay. No, that makes sense. Question that just came in: consistency of food product and product quality and culture. How do you maintain that, not just domestically, but also your plans for international, Carolyn?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm going to say that Dave's is extremely easy. It is simple and it's easy, and that's why it makes it easy for us to make sure we have consistency across the world. But I also say that Dave's has the best training system I have ever been involved in. It is unbelievable, the training, and then the field support that we give our franchisees is, again, unparalleled to any brand I've been involved with. So there is so much support out there to help franchisees operate this very simple business. And that's really all it is.
Taj, can I add to that? If you
Please
don't
do.
mind?
Yeah.
Carolyn is absolutely right. And, you know, I think in creating that consistency, it's important for our team members to engage into the training, right? How many times have we seen in our career where you give an employee a book to read of standard operating procedures, and do they read it? Or are they skimming and then watching a video? Well, our training system that our corporate team provided is extremely entertaining, engaging. How can you not pay attention? It's very modern. I've never seen anything like it in my career. It's not just informative, but it's fun, and it keeps them locked in and engaged, and they want to go do it. So you know, that consistency stems from the training and then the follow-ups with it. So they make the training from a day-to-day new hire feel like it's a grand opening training with the amount of effort and energy that they put into the training videos. So top notch for sure.
Well, that's good. As you have now grown, Deryl, you've got, I mean, you started off with just a handful of locations. You're in 12 states. Talk a little bit about the technology and the tools you're using to be able to manage all the real estate that you're managing and all the locations that you have in your system.
Well, we do have a great platform called LeaseCake that makes things a lot easier. It aggregates, right? Because we have leases in different cities, different states, timelines, the notifications, amazing. The organization is very helpful and beneficial to especially us with the leases that we have across the board. You know, understanding clauses in the leases and making it extremely user-friendly and easy to find things whenever you're looking for it. You know, there's a lot of times where things come up and you know rent changes, right? Here you get notified ahead of time, and it's really organizing. As far as other platforms that we utilize, our corporate team does a great job of testing these platforms and presenting them to us so that we can use it with our teams and in the different markets. So the support that Carolyn is talking about, it's real, and it helps us be able to expand and be consistent throughout. So
Wow. No, that's good. That's good to hear. So, Deryl, who's on your real estate team?
from the Dave's team or us
No,
as a
just you. Yeah, just the team at Cluckin. I'd love to hear a little more.
So we have brokers in every different market. It's not just one broker across the board for us. Again, we need people who know the market, and we actually don't just select our brokers ourselves. We run it through the Dave's Hot Chicken real estate team, you know, and vet them out. We talk to them together as well as our operating partners, and I think that's also a benefit of having our operating partners local. They've been working with these brokers as well, or they know of them, you know, with their other concepts. So we have brokers in every different market.
Got it. Got it. What other technologies are you leveraging? And maybe those brokers are using their own proprietary systems. Is there anything you can share there?
I know our real estate team uses Site Zeus that helps us with site selection. You know, as far as like the other technologies, that's the brokers that really do that, you know, as they look for sites and present them to us. We go old fashioned too, just drive around, do a site tour and look for signs that say available and call the broker that's listed on that site. You know, we use every avenue possible to find the right locations, and then we present it to our real estate committee from the Dave's team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's a related question on finding space. Do you, and this might be, you know, very specific to a particular use case, but apartment buildings, multifamily, you know, is there one specific driver that outweighs others, like great density of population, or is it more than that?
I've seen in just our San Diego market alone, we have different varieties, and it's pretty consistent, regardless of whether it's a destination site or a residential site. You know, of course, you'll see consistent sales throughout the residential sites, as those are people that are there every day. But those destination sites have big spikes, you know, and at the end of the year, throughout, they stay pretty consistent throughout. So it's really just understanding who's in the area. As far as is there one that prioritizes over the other? I think it's just being present and understanding the traffic flow there, and then understanding where people go to. Where are these people going on a daily basis before we make the site selections? Prioritizing, I don't think we choose like apartment complexes versus steady homes. I think just as long as there's people there and they're the people that who are going to our restaurants, or we feel that they may be going to our restaurants with the income and the demographics that we're looking for.
Okay. Yep. Nice. So Carolyn, you're head of real estate. Dan, and he's probably on the go all the time. So related, you know, what kind of support does your real estate team provide? Share, you know, 2, 3, you know, ideas that are really working for you all.
Yeah. Well, first of all, our real estate team physically sees every site that is presented to Dave's. We don't accept any site that has not been seen by someone on our real estate team. Yeah. And sometimes we go out and see a site a couple of times just so we can really understand it and be able to make sure that, you know, we're doing a good job selecting real estate. But we support our franchisees in giving them all the experience that we've had. We have a very experienced real estate team, and that know the areas that they are supporting franchisees in. They can, leverage that experience. But it is really the onus to select the real estate and find it is on the franchisee working with their local broker. So, like I said, we do support them, but we don't find the real estate for them. So that's, Daryl, is that kind of how you feel?
100%.
Support you guys?
The communication is very key, right? So whenever we're presenting sites to the real estate committee to approve, we want to make sure we have our batting average up, right? So we have bi-weekly calls with our real estate team to make sure that every site that's being presented has been looked at all different angles. We visited together multiple times, and we fill out our real estate committee presentation by doing competitive site surveys and looking at all the angles. So the support is definitely there from the real estate team, and the communication is very key, right? So that they're very honest both ways, us and them, in saying, you know what, maybe we don't need to spend more time on this site. Let's look at this site, which gives us a better chance of getting approval, as it's more like gravitating towards our guests, and it has a better chance for success, not just for today, but in the long run as well. So support definitely there.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. You had used this term like turning no's into yeses, from the franchisor's perspective, and having them see those locations. You expand on what that means. Did you make some selections that you weren't sure would work out? And how did that change?
Well, Carolyn actually helped us turn those into yeses. And it's going to visiting the site, being there in person, right? You can't really make a decision on a site off of a piece of paper or a marketing brochure, right? These marketing brochures they give you what you want to hear, what they want you to hear or see. But being present, feeling that energy, the energy is huge with Dave's. What is that energy like in the area, and who are the people there? And is this site, maybe the site wasn't good for a different concept. Maybe it was the concept that wasn't good for the site, and maybe Dave's brings a different type of energy around that one building, that real estate. So being present in it together with the real estate team from Dave's has helped us turn those into yeses.
So I just want to say too, when you're a brand new brand, you have zero history to go on. And so you're only relying on what you know from other brands you've worked with. So I would say in the very beginning, we're a lot more cautious when selecting real estate because we have nothing to base it on. And so in the beginning, I would say that franchise partners might bring a site that they really, really, really love, and we just don't see it. We don't really understand it, and we might say, no, we don't think that will be a good one. And they persist, and we go out, we spend more time at the site, we listen more to the franchisee, and we can turn it into a yes just by understanding it more. So again, going back to how important it is to have franchise partners that know their territory. That's, I think, the most important tool you have in determining whether the real estate is going to be good or not. I don't think we have many turning no's into yeses today because we have 218 restaurants open. So we really understand now what we're looking for. We feel very confident on, understanding sites. So we're doing great now.
Yeah, we definitely learned in the process. And
yeah, it was a learning curve.
Were there any surprises, Daryl, in terms of some of the real estate that you looked at and said, I'm not really sure this is going to work, and then boom, you saw like growth? Were there any surprises, like in a positive way? Some of the intangibles of what Dave brings.
I think because of how frequently we communicate about sites, usually when we're all saying, it's not going to work out, we pass. And some of the best deals we have are the deals we don't make. And, that's been a key factor too with us. So No, I think with the communication and the due diligence put into the real estate process, we're really confident when we make site selections and open up our doors for business.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm hearing. It's you're thoughtful, you're purposeful. There's a commitment to do the research in advance. You're partnering with strong multi-unit operators. All of those ingredients, I think, are again a testament to the leadership that you all have put in place. So that is wonderful. Here's a question that came in about training. Let's go back to training a little bit about LMS systems. Carolyn, what kind of systems do you use? How highly do you value them from a training perspective? I know we touched on that earlier.
So we use Player Link, which houses all of our training materials. So you use an iPad in the store, the trainees log into this iPad, and they can do all of their certifications on the iPad. But as far as the actual materials, they have all been created in-house. We just finished creating all of these unbelievable training videos. I can't tell you how good they are. I think these are going to live forever and ever out there, and people are going to use us as a study someday on these training videos. But all of the training materials have been done in-house, but we activate them or distribute them, I guess, through Player Link, through iPads.
Got it. Deryl, anything you want to add?
No, I think has been great. They do a great job of updating the system and notifying us if there's anything changing. So their link has been great. These training videos they're very entertaining, very educational, like nothing I've never seen before. They did a really good job with it. So
that's good.
One other thing about training, and going back to how simple our brand is, the manager certification is only 2 weeks. And I think you could do it in 1 week. When I was in training, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I got everything I needed in 1 week, but it's only 2 weeks. And then when we open a new restaurant, we have a team go out and train a whole team for a restaurant in 4 days, and we open. So that's how simple it is.
So walk me through that again. 4 days from opening?
4 days prior to opening, we have a team come in, and we hire up to 100 people for new restaurant openings. So we'll come in and we'll get 100 people ready to go in 4 days.
How does that compare with other brands? I mean, I got to believe that they're doing something similar or not.
This is the shortest I've ever encountered. I've been with other brands, and it was always was longer to get people trained, especially the manager certification. Most brands are like 4 to 6 weeks, and we're 2 weeks. Could be 1.
Are you all thinking about, or do you have an opinion about ghost kitchens? I know that was a thing, and now people are being a little bit more cautious. Carolyn?
Yeah, I have an opinion. No. We have one ghost kitchen that we tested, and it's a failure. So no, it's not something we're looking at.
Yeah. People need to experience Dave's. I mean, just look at how unique the signage is and the experience. I mean, every store has its own personality. So
yeah. I mean, listen, I want to say that never ever to a ghost kitchen. What I'm saying is it's not a priority for us. I think we might have opportunities come up where it might make sense in a very dense market, and we want to split, we have 2 very high volume stores. We're really not there yet in our growth, but it's not a strategy for us.
Yeah, got it. Obviously, there's a bunch of folks that are selling chicken sandwiches, all different types and flavors. Who's your biggest competitor? Which one are you looking out for? Or are you so different you really don't have competitors?
So I say we're so different. There are no national hot chicken with our quality hot chicken that we would consider a competitor. We do have some regional competitors out there, depending on, on where you are in the country. But yeah, I say that the chicken sandwich at Wingstop or the chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A is not a competitor to Dave's chicken sandwich.
Good answer. That makes a lot of sense. After my medium Dave's, yeah, I would say there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Good deal. Let's talk about pain points, operational pain points. Maybe Daryl, you can answer this. You know, the biggest things that keep you up at night.
I think it's just making sure that we're constantly evolving, constantly working to improve the operations and just hearing our guests out and hearing the team out. There's always ways to improve. And I think that's what makes Dave's unique as well, right? It showed its ability to be versatile, from the way we operate to the way we have the guest experience. So I think just finding ways to improve, finding ways to make us as efficient as possible, and enhancing the best guest experience out there.
Okay, good. So let's talk about sustainable growth, quality and consistency. I mean, how do you, is it just as simple as training and you got a really good supply chain? Daryl, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, so sustainable growth. The simplicity of Dave's menu, the simplicity of Dave's operation allows for that. It's easy. It's repetitive, but it's easy. I, I've the SKUs from ordering, to just going through the whole operations in the back of house. It's very simple, and that allows for the consistency, the growth, the quality. How can you mess it up when it's that easy, right? Are we perfect? No, but we're good. We're great. And so, it's just the simplicity of it helps us be able to sustain and grow, especially at the pace that we're growing.
Nice. Carolyn?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. It is simple. As far as distribution, we've had nationwide distribution since day one with our partner, so we have had zero issues there. We don't even have any issues internationally. It's simple. There's few SKUs, and it makes it very easy. But if you're growing with a very strong foundation, which is what we have, with a brand that has a very good return on investment and the franchisees are making money, and you're partnered with great franchise partners, fast growth is good. You can do it.
Yep, that makes sense. There are many franchisors that are still out there that just, it has not quite clicked. Your idea about people and success and growing, it's more of the, hey, congratulations, you've got a commitment to open up 5 locations. Let me know when the opening date is, and send me the royalty check. So it's like there's something that I think is now changing, and you all are really, I think, leading that that movement, because obviously times have changed and good enough's not good enough anymore, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Good deal. So, Daryl, let me ask you this question here as we wrap up near the top of the hour. We probably have time for a few more questions, but are there things, as a founder of our solution of Lease Cake, are there things that we should do, that we can do better or improve upon? Why don't you share with me some ideas?
For Lease Cake as a whole, or just as you plan to grow and get your brand awareness out there? I think it's important to understand who you're pitching your product to, and then who's utilizing your product, understanding how they're utilizing it in making sure that you're providing the answers to their questions, right? And then answering your own questions. You didn't become a founder unless you had a question on what people need. And you found that answer with Lease Cake. We've all been in the industry and had questions on how we can make things better. And you found a product, you found an answer to people's questions. And I think just constantly growing and developing to that, there's always going to be ways to find a way to make your product better and accessible to people too. So
appreciate that. Yeah, it is like reinventing a chicken sandwich.
I was part of Popeyes when they had their craze, you know, with the chicken sandwich. And that was actually one of the first questions Bill Phelps asked me, whose chicken sandwich is better? And no bias, man. Dave's has 7 different heat levels. You could get a different heat level every day of the week. So Dave's, and the juiciness of the tender, it's yeah, unmatched. So
How many more levels do I have to go from medium?
hot, extra hot Reaper.
All right, so it's going to be hot next time, and then
Oh,
sign that contract. That's good. Well, Carolyn, I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet, and that was the serendipitous moment in a hotel lobby where you and Bill Phelps were walking by, and I
yeah.
mean, he's such a respected, revered leader in the industry, and for him to be one of the very first guys that said Dave's has an absolute winner here, and so the fact that he joined the team. How long had you worked with Bill before?
So, I knew Bill when I was at Blaze, but we really didn't interact too much. But then this is a funny story. I actually was at a Wetzel's Pretzels convention because I was thinking about becoming a Wetzel's franchisee. This is while I was at Blaze. And I heard that Bill was looking at another brand called Dave's Hot Chicken. And I was like, well, if Bill's looking at it, I want to be a part of it. I mean, this guy grew, Wetzel's and then Blaze. So I approached him and said, can I be a part? Can I put some money into this new thing, Dave's? He goes, sure. He let me put just a little bit in. But I'd never seen the product, heard of it, nor tasted it, but I trusted Bill Phelps. So then when I left Blaze and I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, and he was hounding me to get involved with Dave's, and I said, I just need a break. But then he said, well, why don't you be a franchisee? I said, okay, I'll be a franchisee. So, you know, talk about relationships with people and people you trust. I just knew that if Bill Phelps was going to be involved, I wanted to be involved in some way. So, and it's panned out.
It's a people business. It's a relationship business.
Yep.
You want to get together and spend more time with people you trust and you enjoy. That's
Yep.
that's wonderful.
For sure.
What advice would you impart on me and our team as we continue to build and transform business?
I'll just piggyback onto what Deryl said. I mean, Lee's Cake came about because you found a need that wasn't being filled. And I think that, as you grow, you just continue to get feedback from your customers on, what could be done better. What else do they need? Is there something else that might, there might be a gap or a hole that you could fill? That would be my recommendation.
We are on the same page. We are absolutely on track. And we love these conversations, love spending time with our customers. We also have very dear core values as well, as you can imagine, which is trust and empathy and curiosity and candor and center on the customer. I learned so much when I had spent a decade at Disney. You talk about customer experience, you talk about relationships. We carry that with us here as well. So I'm so excited. I'm so glad that you guys are able to share your story. I mean, you're both franchisees.
Yeah.
You both had leadership roles. And I think, you're changing the world of great chicken sandwiches, hot chicken sandwiches. Really, really pleased. And thank you so much for your time. Any parting comments, any last comments, Deryl, you want to make?
I'm going to go off of what Bill Phelps tells us. Great brands are built on great stories through great people. And that's what we live by. So
I'll write that down. Carolyn?
I just want to give a shout out to Deryl and say that they're opening their first store in Atlanta next week, and they've actually partnered with Usher. This is a big thing.
Oh my
And
God.
it's truly going to be one of the best openings ever. So hats off to him. And thank you so much, Taj, for having me on. This was really enjoyable. I appreciate it very much. And yeah, thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. When we heard the news and Andrew Fagali was on the phone with me and his phone was blowing up and he stayed on the call and I said, "Hey, Andrew, what's going on?" He said, "Well, the news about Usher opening his first day, was that in Conyers, Georgia?"
Yeah, Conyers.
So I told Andrew, I said, "Oh my God, this is great. Not only is Dave's Hot Chicken a customer, but we're 1 degree of separation from Usher." So,
Really?
well, I mean,
I mean, yes.
all
Yes.
Andrew's got to do is introduce us, and then there you go.
Yeah, that's great.
I love it. Well, you guys are doing absolutely the right thing. Stay on that modern leading edge approach. It's definitely a people business. Your brand, your reputation is certainly seen as a leader amongst your peers, and it's simply an honor. So thank you again, and we will talk with you soon, I'm sure. Take care,
Yes.
safe travels,
Thanks,
everybody.
Todd.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Bye, Daryl.